Hi, I'm Mindy Stearns.
I'm JD Cargill.
And I'm Michelle Arago, and this is Friends Some and Then Some.
We are three best friends who met over 2 decades ago working in LA's local news scene, and we started this podcast to listen, learn, and laugh. Oh, do we laugh? On our journey to improving the midlife experience through the incredible power of friendship.
And each week we rip back the curtain on midlife, candidly exposing the biggest issues facing middle-aged people, often by sharing the intimate details of our own lives and our friendship. Through expert guests and celebrity interviews, we offer friendship-based tips, tricks, hacks, and solutions to living your best midlife. We are Midlife AF
And Flossom AH.
So here we go. It's
Friends Some and Then Some. Happy Best Friends Day. That's right. National Best Friends Hugs. Friends Some and Then Some would be. This is like,
Best Friends
might as
Day.
well
It's
be
our
Friends
day.
Some and Then Some's national holiday.
right
Hello, it's all about
our
friendship.
We call it FATS for
Best
short.
friends, friends some and then some. Like handsome, but friendsome.
Well,
Like a threesome, but a friendsome.
Wholesome, yes,
Wholesome,
but not
friendsome.
so much. Exactly.
sometimes inappropriate, most of the time.
Okay,
And hopefully
some.
you are going to call your best friend today, give a shout out to your best friend on social media, do a nice little shout out and tell them why you love them.
I love you.
But today we really wanted to dive deep into friendship, as we always do on our show. But what better guest to have on National Best Friends Day than
Some
these
friendships.
two?
Yes.
Their story's pretty incredible.
Yes.
We're going to let them
Tell it.
tell us all
Good.
the juice.
Also, you know what?
because
Some
we
friendships-
and we're going to pop in with questions. So Dale Wade Davis and Phillip Palmer. Welcome to
Friends Some and Then Some. Woohoo! Oh, as handsome as they are talented.
Oh, handsome
I love
and
it.
friendsome. Handsome and the friendsome.
So Phillip is at ABC right now. He's about to go on air.
That's
So
right.
he's going to talk, and then Dale
Coming
and
up
him are going to
next.
tell us their story. Dale is in a basement from I
In his
don't
mom's
know
house.
what era.
We're sending help, Dale. Don't worry.
I'm coming to you live from the 1970s.
Hells yeah, with
Cloverfield.
serious Wi-Fi. Back to the Future. All right, so I want to
Hey,
hear.
Dale.
I-
We appreciate you taking some time out of your video games in your mom's basement
Yes.
to
As
come
you can-
hang out with us.
These are obviously
yeah.
old friends. Old friends.
It's
proving that-
Wade's World.
Proving living in your mom's basement is not a detriment to success.
No.
We're in
Dale,
the basement right now.
You're not
y'all.
living there.
I'm in my mom's basement, and I got right online, and you're at ABC's studios, and it took you 10 minutes to get on here.
Oh, that's not the
That
truth.
has nothing to do with the internet, but the user error.
Okay. You look good now. You're all
Oh
set.
my gosh. Well, you guys have such a unique story. We want you to just take it away. Phillip, you want to start? Because you can talk about your best friend and how this all got started.
Man, I think Dale should start, primarily because there was so much going on with him that he wasn't sharing people, because kidney disease is something that people don't really like to talk about. Dale's one of those rub some dirt on it and I'm going to fix it myself kind of guys. So for a lot of his friends, multiple friends of his, we came late to the party because Dale was already in the hospital in intensive care. Dale didn't even tell me. It was a friend of ours, Rob Fugazaki,
Yeah,
who
Rob.
called and said, Dale's in the hospital. And so
Well, what the hell?
yeah,
what
it
the
was
hell,
it's like,
Dale?
that's pretty much what I said. I was like, what do you mean? And at first we thought, and I'm not speaking for Dale, but at first we thought he was having a stroke. His eyes, he was having a hard time seeing. And then, ultimately we found out he needed a kidney transplant. And,
Wow.
a lot of his friends stepped up and get tested. And I was the one that they said was the most negative, which I think is a joke. Because I am certainly not the most negative of Dale's friends. However, that meant that my kidney was least likely to be rejected. And, I'll never forget that phone call that came from the hospital that said, it's you. Because I was excited to be able to help. I mean, not many people get a chance to help in such a tangible way. And I've always said I got more back than I ever gave.
Oh.
And, seeing Dale be healthy for many years was really, really quite a blessing.
Well, I've heard you
Fantastic.
say that you kind of had this all-knowing when you knew you wanted to donate the kidney, you were like, I knew I was going to be the match? What was that in your heart or your spirit that said, I know I'm going to be the one? It's like you knew before you got the news.
That's a part of the story that goes way back. Rick Riley was a columnist for Sports Illustrated and wrote a story about living kidney donation. And it moved me to prayer, and I prayed about it. And then I called my mom, and I told my mom, I said, this is something that if ever it happens that I'm going to want to do.
Oh, wow.
And my prayer wasn't that somebody got sick or anything like that. My prayer was, God, I don't want to forget this in the event somebody needs it. I don't want this moment to have passed. And I've actually had the good fortune of talking to Rick Riley, played golf with him and told him about, his article and how talking about organ donation actually saved a life.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And so, for me, it was a very prayerful time. And when Dale got sick, I remembered it. I knew it was going to be me. I told him, I said, it's going to be me. And when I called, the crazy part of the story was when I called my mom to tell my mom that we were going to do this, I was shocked that she didn't try to talk me out of it. And I was like, wow, Mom, I'm a little surprised you're so at ease with this. And it's always a very emotional time when I think about it. I just lost my lines. My mom said, don't you remember? You told me about that prayer all those years ago. And who am I to doubt that? And I was like, okay. And so let's go forward.
Wow.
First of all, props to your mom's incredible memory. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's something.
So you had made the commitment, just to be clear, you had already made a commitment in your heart that should it ever come up in your life to be of service in that way, to donate.
And then here comes
you
your
would
best
do it.
friend in need.
Wow, that is just
He would have done
remarkable.
it for a stranger, but then, so Dale, I know this type that Philip's talking about, that hardcore, frog in the water, kind of. You guys were, when I had a situation, I've had super prideful, right? So what was going on in your mind when you are everybody's best buddy? You're the go-to guy, but you were going through this internal health situation and not sharing? Was it pride? Were you afraid?
Well, I don't want to, I don't really like getting birthday gifts from people. I don't like, I'm not comfortable ever even receiving something small from somebody. So to even ask or accept a kidney from somebody was quite, not easy to do for me. And I had never, my approach to healthcare was just stay as far away from doctors and hospitals as possible. So when I started getting these headaches and I kept procrastinating and putting it off, and I thought, well, I'm getting older, I need glasses or something. And so I went to go to an eye doctor to get examined. And as he examined my eyes, he could see hemorrhaging. My blood pressure was, I don't remember the number, but it was stroke level.
Oh, no.
And my blood pressure was super high. And so he said, you need to go to the emergency room right away, which I did. And I was thinking as I was driving to the emergency room, having never even I've never had the flu, been sick at all. I thought I've got a brain tumor because of the hemorrhaging, the headaches. And, I didn't really even know how to process it. I get in the emergency room, they do all the tests, and they come out however long it was later and said, you have kidney failure. And, found out later I needed a kidney. And I ignorantly equated that in my mind at the time as, when I heard the word transplant, I heard radical medical procedure you're probably going to die from. That's what I thought, because I didn't know anything about it. And, now obviously I've come to learn that that's not the case. And so I just was processing it, and I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to burden anyone with any of this. And, and nobody likes to be seen as sick or a patient. And I didn't want to be seen like that. And word kind of leaked out is, I was in and out of the hospital, and I was adopted when I was, at birth. And so I didn't have any family that could step in. So I was fortunate to have a lot of friends that, word had kind of spread, our friend Rob Fukuzaki, who's the sports guy still at ABC in Los Angeles, he found out and told Philip, and word kind of spread. And so some of my friends got tested, and, which was very humbling, and, I knew I needed it to save my life, which, puts you in this weird situation, like you have to have it, but, you have to have somebody help you. There's no, there's really no accepting. I mean, I had two young daughters, am I just going to, fade away and die? That's not an option either. So when, Phillip and, other people stepped up, and Phillip was the best match, it was just amazing. And I was surprised that they were doing it because, it just seemed like such a leap, for somebody to do that. And, and Phillip said, one thing that he said at the time that really stuck with me was, and still to this day does, he said, how could I let my friend die without a kidney and me live with two? And I just thought that was just the,
gosh, it's just
the best thing I've ever heard, and Phillip has a nature that just really put me at ease, and he, we joke about it all the time, and he, he's really disarming, so he always made me feel like, of course I'm doing this, like Phillip made the process as easy as possible for me. And I've always appreciated that, and still to this day, it was always a joke. It was always, and I remember shortly after the transplant, he was moving, he was getting married, and and I was going to go help him move. And he's like, hey, can you come help me move some stuff on Thursday? And I'm like, I have some auditions on Thursday. I can't really get to it. And he's like, be in my house on Wednesday and bring my kidney.
You guys always approach things with humor. I love that.
And I've always appreciated that.
Humor is so important.
So Phillip, how did you, you had this like super all-knowing, heartfelt, making him feel comfortable with all this, but you guys are really funny, and you guys jab at each other all the time. I love that. You're like, bring your ass over here with my damn kidney, no excuses. How do you feel now? Like, let's give our listeners a
sense of what that moment was like.
What that was like, and we're talking about, this was how many years ago now?
It's a big moment.
14 years.
Yeah.
14.
You got a good kidney, bro.
Wow.
So what was it like for you to try to dance around all of this uncomfortable, heavy stuff for you? How did you do that?
There's a lot of people out there that struggle with that because it's very difficult to admit, be vulnerable in that way. And there's a lot attached to that. So you really had to break through your own personal barriers, so to speak.
Well, for me, listening to Dale, tell his story again there. I mean, there's some of this that gets really emotional for me. You forget, because everything went well, how dark those days were. It was scary because my friend was ill, but to me, I don't share this part of it because there are many people who have donated an organ and they have their reason for it, and all of them are perfect. Mine was my faith. Mine was being moved by an article to pray, and that was where my strength came from. I just knew this was going to be okay, but that didn't mean I wasn't scared. Right. And what's crazy about it, where you find your strength, where you find your comfort, was the fact that this was an answer to a prayer. I was watching a miracle happen, and that was a remarkable thing for me. And I'll never forget another moment when I was, this one's a really hard story, but Dale was in his operating room and I was in mine, and they'd already given me the IV, and in the first try, they shoved it all the way through the vein in my arm. And then the woman's kind of fishing around trying to find it. I mean, it was hurting. So she finally gets it in there, and we're sitting there. I mean, we're on the table. This is happening. This is going to happen. Up to this point, it's like, it's going to be okay. But now I'm getting ready to get wheeled in. And my now wife was sitting there with me, and it kind of just hit me that what was about to happen. And I just looked at her and I said, I need to say a little quick prayer. So we held hands, and I kind of just prayed for strength. I said, God, it's not like I'm getting off this table. I'm going through this.
Yeah.
I said, but if you could just help me right now understand that this is going to be okay. And this was a prayer quietly. It wasn't out loud. It wasn't screaming. I just needed some peace. And I will tell you, it was at that moment, behind the curtain in the other room, Dale and Rob started to laugh. And they laughed. and they laughed this just friend, joyful laugh.
Aww.
And I opened my eyes and looked at my wife and I said, I'm ready. So you tell me that God doesn't answer prayer, and I'll tell you that moment, because I am convinced that was how I was able to know that it was going to be good and it was going to be fine. And it was.
And now that you're married to her and you have a daughter, what do you tell your daughter? Like, do you tell her this story about a guy named Dale and a guy named Phillip and this heroic story of friendship?
I don't look at it as heroism. I really don't. Dale needed something. And I think that the heroes are the doctors who've dedicated a life to doing stuff like this. I saw an opportunity to help a friend, and I did. So my daughter knows I have one kidney. She's 9, so I don't know that at this point she really understands. I mean, she kind of knows that something happened,
but she will as she grows.
But one day. But for what we're talking about, which is friendship, friend some and then some. I don't like getting hung up too much on the act of the kidney donation. I just think, God parted the Red Sea. That was a great miracle, but God does little bitty things every single day. And we can help friends of ours get through tough times with a smile, with a word, with taking time out of our schedule, just to make sure that they know we're there. It doesn't have to be an organ just to show somebody
you're an
that they matter
overachiever,
to.
Phillip.
and it can be just, giving them your last Twix.
JD would never do that.
That might be the thing.
Actually, JD would never do that.
The kidney is one thing. Chocolate is quite another. Let's all be realistic, okay? But
That's where we draw the line.
I need to say something here because I love the humility that I'm hearing, but it is heroic. It is. I don't care if you don't consider yourself a hero. To give a kidney to somebody,
you are to us.
To put your life in danger, to save the life of someone else. And going into the knife is danger. Like it might be a very safe surgery. I don't know actually what the statistics are and all that. Selena Gomez did it. I know that was
with her friend.
Yeah. So I know
and it's a tandem surgery because it has to go from Phillip right into Dale. So they were doing this together. I saw that video of you guys in the dark, early hours walking into the hospital together as a team. What was that like for you, Dale, when that moment of walking in the hospital before daylight?
Well, it was, I didn't have a choice. So it wasn't like it was an elective surgery. It was do this or die. So, I felt pretty good about it, the whole time. Like I was glad that it was happening. I wanted everything to go smoothly. Strangely enough, I felt all the media coverage. I mean, I think every station in LA covered it like in an embarrassing amount. And, Phillip and I
now you're the
each
story.
had a camera crew in the room with us. And those things made me feel safer, nothing bad could happen with all these cameras around. And I remember at this time when Phillip described when he's in the next room, and I think there's just a curtain between us. And I was, had the TV on, and I don't remember which channel it was, but I was in there with Rob Fukuzaki and my mom. And they went to a live report, and the reporter said, Dale is and Phillip are resting comfortably, awaiting surgery. Dale is visiting with family and friends. And I thought, wow, that's pretty good reporting, because that's exactly what I was doing. And all those cameras just made me feel safer, like nothing bad could happen.
Oh.
And, I'm a person of faith as well myself, and I prayed about it. And, I just felt pretty good about the whole process. And I wanted Phillip to be okay. I was more concerned about him than myself because, that's like the worst thing that could happen if it didn't go well for Phillip. And, I knew the odds. I mean, you referenced you didn't know the odds. I mean, it's a major surgery, but it's relatively safe. I mean, you're talking plane crash odds of something bad happening. And it's certainly, at this point, they've been doing them for so long. But still, there's always that tiny, minuscule chance that something could happen.
Yeah.
And, that's what you try not to focus on. But if something would have went wrong with Phillip, that would have just crushed me. And so that's what I was mostly concerned about.
But in friendship, we know that when you give somebody an opportunity to help, that is also a gift. Like to be like Phillip was saying, and should we just acknowledge that Phillip, I think, had a run off?
I think he's coming back.
Oh, is he? Oh, I thought because he's coming up to the news hour. Live news doesn't stop
Phillip
for
Palmer
Friends and Then
is
Some,
an anchor
unfortunately.
on ABC, so he came in before going live on air.
Yes, of course. And then, but yeah, it is a gift that you like. He knew, like, there was something in the universe and in his faith and the premonition that he had when he read that article. I feel like at that moment it was decided that this moment was going to happen, and it was a life-saving, best friendship moment that is like what I mean. It is literally the evidence that we need that friendship is life-saving. I mean, that's why that happened, because you happen to be dear friends with someone who happened to be a match, and you guys run operating table together to save your life. And now what happened?
And I would like to mention too, especially when Phillip's not here to cut me off. Phillip has not only donated the kidney, but since then, I mean, he has an annual golf tournament, and I don't know how much money he's raised, but it's a lot. It's one of the biggest charity golf tournaments that he has annually every year for Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. So he does that. For years we gave talks together. We were on a float in the Rose Parade, and Phillip is, after the surgery, he's still been an advocate for organ donation. And I would say, I don't know of anybody on any level that's done more to raise awareness for organ donation than Phillip Palmer has.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that's just the thing to our listeners too. Organ donation is the greatest gift you can give.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you no longer need it, let it live on in someone else. I think everyone should have that on their license.
I will say this about being the advocate, and this comes from, it was crazy how many people I've met through the whole process. One of them is an LAPD officer who on the same day gave to her husband. And so then we became friends over time. Wow. Her name is Sarah Faden. And there was a day when I was just kind of not wanting to talk about it anymore because it was kind of intense there for a while. And she looked at me and she said, Phillip, she goes, you have to tell the story because nobody would know what's possible because we're perfectly fine. This was a person who just given to her husband. And it's true. You don't. I mean, I've run half Ironman since I did this thing. And you don't know that somebody only has one kidney. And so I don't like really, I like talking about organ donation because I think it's one of those things where you should, make a decision before it's forced upon you in a very traumatic time. You should talk about it with your family and let them know what you think, pro or con. But she pointed out, she's like, you're perfectly healthy now. And so am I. She goes, but if we don't tell people what's possible, they might never know.
Sure. Yeah, because people might have the idea that if they give part of themselves, they are less healthy, they are less whole, they are less strong. But if you can live a normal life. God gave you two kidneys. God gave you two kidneys so that you could share. I think He
gave me a spare. I told Dale I can't have the other one though.
You only give two.
And
friendship has its limits.
Well, friendship. I had a joke earlier. And I was like, "Is this appropriate?" But it is. It is great that a best friend could just know what it feels like, to have their best friend inside of them.
Oh,
right. Oh, too much.
Well,
you gotta try.
That was
100% of the shots you don't take.
I've always said Dale is more of a man now than he was prior to
Hey, I've heard all the jokes, okay? You're not going to offend me. I've heard them all.
But
yeah, there is no offense.
Humor is the best part of getting through tough times. You guys always jab. And Phillip, did you love Dale as a friend because of his humor? What was it that you guys, I mean, we all started as work friends too here. We all were at KTLA together and here 2 decades later, we're buddies and we jab all the time. But what was it for you two? Because Dale was an editor there and you're an anchor man. What drew you two together to start this friendship?
Even though he had two daughters at that time and I had not ever been married, we were so similar. I mean, humor. But I do think this industry, and as you guys know, this TV industry attracts
Weirdos.
personalities, you know,
bunch of weirdos here.
And our schedules were odd.
Yeah.
You know, we both worked on weekends. And so we would, you know, hang out together late at night and after hours. And, you know, Rob Fukuzaki was a close friend of ours as well. It just, you know, at that time I was, you know, in my early 40s, but, you know, Dale and I probably acted like we were in our mid 20s. And so I think there was we both enjoyed being outside. So we had like football games and, you know, it was just, you know, sometimes you just click with. I like a lot of people. There are several people that just click with, and that's what makes a friend to me, is that person that just, if I talk to Dale now and I don't talk to him again for another month, when I pick up the phone, the first words out of my mouth will probably be, you know, something negative.
Yeah.
Well, because you were negative.
Well, you know, and what's kind of ironic is Philip's parents live in East Texas, and I have a ranch in East Texas and kind of grew up in that area. And so our families are like an hour apart in Texas. And when they did the story and our families were all out and all the news coverage, they literally put disclaimers and said, you got to listen close. There's a lot of accents, you know, from these family members from Texas. And that's the God's truth. And so Philip and I culturally are very similar.
Yeah. Funny.
Well, just so we're clear, that would be a coincidence, not irony. I just like to point that.
Okay, Mr. Newsman. Okay. Sorry. I hope I didn't offend your grammatical skills there.
Well, you know, you're talking about the Southern accent and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to make it clear that just because we have an accent does not mean we don't know the Queen's English.
Noted. I'll give that all the attention it deserves in the future.
And I think the news industry does attract.
I hate to be the one to burst the bubble. I'm going to let you guys continue, but at this hour, I'm about 9 minutes away from a newscast.
Yeah.
And in this podcast, I was actually I was live on television and came back in one Dale story.
Nice.
I love it. You did your promo. Did you do your tease?
Dale is Dale talks
I
the
did
tease.
that tease, and I got back and I heard the end of the story, and I heard the beginning of the story, and like much of Dale's, that's all I really needed.
Oh my God, hilarious! Well, thank you, Philip, for joining us.
We really
Dale's all about
part
the
of the
big
friend
finish
zone.
and the big. That's
start.
what a choir director told me one time. He said, make sure you start well and end well, because everybody forgets the middle anyway.
Yeah, that's a great.
Dale has a gift of the big finish.
Well,
we can't wait for the big finish.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you. We can't wait to watch the news.
That's what I heard.
And you feel free to talk about Friends of Them as much as you want on that little TV show here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, thank you guys for having us on.
Thank you, Philip.
You know, I hate that work gets in the way sometimes, because what you're talking about is very important. I mean, friendship and being there for somebody is just one of the greatest things. And I know in my heart, if the roles were reversed, Dale would have been there for me too. So thank you guys for talking about this.
Well, you're in our friendsome now. Now
share our story a little bit.
You're part of this friendsome, and you can't get out. It's kind of like the firm.
We love you,
You're never
Philip.
leaving.
Love you guys.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you.
Go do the good work.
Go. And coming
Give
up
us
next.
news.
Coming up next.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.
So Dale's staying with
We're still
us.
talking. We're still talking, everybody. Yes, we are.
So there's a new evolution to the story. And Dale, I just love that what he said, you know, you would do for me what I would do for you.
Right.
And that is true friendship. And
chosen family. Friendships are chosen family. And God, what a blessing that you guys were a match. And now there's an update to this story.
yeah, so this was 14 years ago, and it's been...
No, it was 2014, right? It was 8 years ago. Right?
How many years ago was the kidney transplant happen? No, it was
2007.
Yeah.
7.
Oh, okay. It was 14. I misheard. My apologies.
Yeah. So it was 14 years ago. And give us an update now of where you're at. And because we want to be friends to you and send out a message for hope.
Well, so I was cruising along for the first 12 and a half years. And then, you know, you living a completely normal life. And the only thing that changed was after the transplant, you take a couple of pills a day, anti-rejection pills, because your body, your immune system knows that that organ doesn't belong. So it's going to try to attack it like it does an infection, you know, and your body's always going to try to kill it off. And these amazing miracle drugs keep that from happening. And so after 13 years, one of these drugs went rogue or something happened and they stopped being effective. And so my body rejected the kidney. And so now I need another transplant.
Oh, no.
And so I've been on dialysis for the last couple of years, and just really, it's been a tough couple of years because the first time around, I went from diagnosis to transplant in like 4.5 months, which is like, a really fast time. And this time, again, your body adapts. And so people that were a match 14 years ago got tested again and are no longer a match because your body, and again, I don't know anything about this because I'm not a doctor, but I'm told it builds up antigens. And so it's much harder to match because your body's smarter now than it was the first time. And so, as I said, people that were a match 14 years ago no longer a match. So it's been really tough finding a match. And I'm on the list, but I'm still healthy. Like everything else I'm in pretty good shape considering I don't have any kidney function. So I just have to wait, friends have gotten tested and, and continue to, but so far to no avail.
What's the parameters for a match?
There's really, blood type doesn't really matter that much. Like I'm A positive. Phillip was something else. I think he was O. So that doesn't really matter. It just comes down, they mix your blood together and they can tell if it attacks or gets along. Like it's that simple.
Really?
I don't know much more about it than that, but they have to mix your blood together. So there's really no way of knowing until you go in and you just give a little vial of blood and then they fly it to Houston and mix it with mine and they can tell if you're a match or not.
Wow. That's amazing.
Can we do that anywhere? Can anybody go in and get tested at a local hospital?
Yeah, there's a phone number. The first time around I was in Los Angeles. Now I'm mostly at my ranch in Texas. So my hospital is St. Luke's in Houston. And there's a number which I don't have off the top of my head, but
we do.
You call that number and they'll walk you through.
We have it on the screen now.
832-355-3154.
Yeah. So if you call that number, they will walk you through it. You go to like a Quest Diagnostics or a LabCorp near wherever you live, anywhere in the world or country. And you just go donate a little vial of blood like you're donating blood. And that's it. My insurance pays for everything. There's never any out of pocket for being a donor. And one thing that people don't know that's interesting is if you become a kidney donor, like let's use Phillip, for example, if something happened and Phillip ever needed a kidney, he goes to the top of the list.
Really?
So the National Registry, he goes automatically to the top because he's already donated a kidney. So that's something that's a little kind of a bonus if you are an organ donor.
Yeah,
that's so appropriate too.
Yeah.
I mean, you make that big sacrifice. You should, if it ever comes back that you need that same help yourself, of course you should be next. Yeah, that's just remarkable.
One thing the politicians actually got right for once.
Yeah, right.
Good.
Wow. I'm so happy that the first operation was so successful because that 14 years has probably been everything to you, and now life's handed us a little curveball, and we'll do it again. I think that going to get tested, let me ask you, when you do this, if I was to go get tested to see if I was a match for you, would they be able to say I was or wasn't, but would they keep your information on file to see if you're a match with anybody else who is out there?
No, not to my knowledge, unless you requested that.
Right. To be part of some database.
I know a lot of people that, I don't really know the answer to that, but I think not. Like you're wanting to donate a kidney to somebody.
Right.
And so that's who it's earmarked for. So no, as far as I know, they don't keep that information.
Okay.
There's a Be the Match. Is that for kidney donation? There's an organization called Be the Match, and it's more of like a database.
I know you can for bone marrow. You can go in and be part of a database for bone marrow. But go ahead.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Not funny, but a coincidence, as Phillip would make me say. There's a woman that is actually in Houston right now, today, at St. Luke's getting tested. And I only met her twice in some events. And she wanted to do this process. And so she went to go get tested. She was not a match, but they have what's called a swap program. And so she's in Houston undergoing testing. So she can donate a kidney for me. And what they do is, again, they have some sort of registry. And so her kidney will go to somebody else. and somebody else's kidney will go to me.
Yeah.
So she's essentially donating the kidney to me, but someone else is getting her kidney. I hope that makes
indirectly.
sense. But she's in Houston right now undergoing that for the swap program.
Yeah. So you give the act of it, and you do help save your friend's life. Maybe if it's not directly your kidney, but your act saves a life. That sacrifice really
great
in that
story.
gift.
Gosh, and thinking about you and Phillip and Rob, like back in the day, this was before the movie Anchorman came out, but we had remember we had this rival, we had KTLA people, ABC, NBC, and we did, and I think you organized it. It was a flag football game.
We did play flag football all the time with different stations.
But it is sort of when I saw Anchorman for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny the way, because it is a culture, the news culture, and it's so incestuous how we all bounce between stations and things, everyone knew each other. Freelancers, freelancers are the glue of all the stations, because they go and go, hey, you got to meet this guy at this station, and then we all end up at the same bar together.
Earlier when we were talking about friendships and how Phillip and Dale became friends, so much of it with us too is that the media attracts a certain kind of person already, a curious person, a person who a lot of times we're people because we're out there like constantly trying to get the story or the scoop. So I'm so grateful that like the universe brought you two together, because it's obviously proven one of the greatest gifts of friendship, life-saving friendship, is organ donation. And now that we're at this point again in the journey, how are you feeling? What's the outlook right now, and where is your heart with things?
It's I actually feel pretty good most days, and I'm it's been almost 2 years since my body rejected Phillip's kidney, and I was on dialysis pretty quickly. For the former dialysis I was on blood dialysis, where you go in 3 or 4 times a week, and they literally take your blood out, clean it in a machine, and then put it back in your body. And I did that, and it was, it's been really, just a rocky road this time, because everything 14 years ago was so smooth, and this time it's just taking so long. And now I'm on a different kind of dialysis, because that one was having some negative effects on my heart, and I didn't want that. And so now I do one where I hook up to a machine at home, and it doesn't clean your blood. It pumps a liquid into your stomach and takes out all the toxins and then flushes them out. It's really amazing what they can do. So that was every day, but there's no blood involved. It doesn't hurt. It's just very time consuming. And it's been, people don't realize how important your kidneys are. Like they control a lot of functions. And so, it's very difficult to live a healthy life without kidney function. And, it's amazing what they can do, but there's no replacement for a kidney.
Well, let's get you a kidney. Let's get a new kidney for you, Dale.
This is part of our friendship mission.
Why don't we bring up that asset again? Because I want to make sure that we say the number for people who are listening on their podcast.
The word for you, Dale.
St. Luke's Medical in Eastern Texas. The telephone number is 832-355-3154. 832-355-3154. That is the number for St. Luke's Medical Center, where you can call to see if you can get tested, to see if you're a match for Dale's kidney, because that is
save a life.
Goal number one, priority one.
Please.
We're here for you, Dale. We want to spread the message, and I just think you're the best. And I feel like when you get these health challenges, it gives you a new lease on life, sort of, right? Do you feel like your perspective of life and mortality, you spread more love and joy, right?
I think in a lot of ways it is a blessing in disguise, because, I remember 14 years ago, you get to see, I think a lot of us go through life and we don't get to see the impact we have on other people and how other people view us. And so that was a big blessing 14 years ago, was seeing like all my friends in Los Angeles, my freelance friends like you guys, everybody rally around, and you don't really appreciate, how cared for, and I don't mean me specifically, but any of us, and the impact you have on other people. And I got to see that, and it's almost like, watching your own funeral, you get to see how loved you are. People were giving me benefits and really stepping forward. And so you got to see that. And I'm seeing it again now, and people getting tested. And, it's certainly, not a real blessing, but that aspect of it is
it's
a blessing
a silver
to go
lining
and see that. Yeah.
I think it's a silver lining.
And when you talked about, in Los Angeles, we're all, none of us are really from there. I mean, a few of us are, but we all graduate to there in television. It's the big leagues. And the people you make there, it's a transient life. You don't have family there. So the bond there amongst TV people, especially freelance people like I was at the time, is a really strong bond. Hence, me and Phillip, me and Rob Fukuzaki, a lot of my best friends today are friends that I worked with 15, 20 years ago, and you guys as well. I crossed paths with you guys briefly at KTLA 20-something years ago, and here we are still talking.
Through Patrick O'Connor, who was a writer for News at 10 with them. Yeah.
Another great friend.
I was on the morning show, but yeah.
Well, I've got to throw in there that at the time, Patrick was my roommate, and he worked at KTLA as a freelancer, and he was so in love with Michelle. And,
he was
like a sad little college student,
Who was older women.
He was trying to write you poetry and send you roses. I saved you from all that. I'm like, Patrick, you can't. She's gonna think you're a creeper. You can't do all that.
Oh my God!
I love it.
You're welcome, Michelle.
Everybody loves
He is
Michelle.
a talented writer. He did slip some notes that got past you, Dale.
Some poetry.
I probably have them in a shoebox somewhere.
I love it.
Well,
Patrick was a hoot.
Patrick is to this day one of my best friends, and he's also went to go get tested 14 years ago and tested again. So I would take a bullet for Patrick. And I love to give him a hard time.
I was going to ask on that note, because you said just because you might have been a match 14 years ago, you may not be now. Does it work the other way? Are people who may not have been a match 14 years ago possibly a match now?
I can't speak to that specifically because I don't know, but it wouldn't hurt to try.
Right. To get tested again.
Try.
Well, we're going to get our friends and then some family out there and bring some love to you.
Campaign for you, Dale. And Dale's an actor, producer, editor. He's done movies, TV shows. What do you got going on despite these health issues? You're still living your life and living your best life.
I'm about like my biggest dream because, I grew up in Texas. And then I worked in LA for 20 years. And, I've been back in Texas the last couple of years with these health issues. And so my dream has always been to produce a movie in Texas, like to merge my two worlds of Hollywood and Texas. And so that's what I'm doing. In September, we're shooting a pretty major film, in Texas that I'm producing and acting in as well. And so I'm super excited about that. And I hope my health holds up so I can keep doing it, and right now I'm prepared to do it. If I'm still in dialysis, I'll still be, hooked up to the machine 10 hours a day, but, producing and acting in this movie because I don't want to stop living.
Press it on.
I want to keep doing, everything that I've always done, which is my love. And, when I was editing in LA, which, was some of the best times of my life working with all of you and Los Angeles television, that was, I worked in Texas. I was an anchor, writer and Houston news before I moved out to LA. And that was like my, as I said earlier, like my waiting tables to pay the bills as I was trying to make it as an actor. So since then, I was on a soap opera for a couple of years, Port Charles, which is actually on ABC.
Love Port Charles.
A small recurring role on Shameless for 10 years, which is a really popular Showtime show as a drunk. So that was a lot of fun. So, just as an actor, you're a drunk one day and a scientist the next day, and it's a lot of fun.
Done a lot of research for that role over the years, haven't we?
Yeah, and so
not a scientist. She wasn't talking about a scientist.
This movie that we're filming in September. When did the podcast hosts come in, and what exactly is our role?
Yeah, I've got my SAG card, so I'm SAG certified.
We all use Mindy's SAG card.
Yeah, can we come in as a threesome?
I will say this: it does have a female director and 3 female leads.
Woo!
So
I'm not going to donate.
There's not a lot of males, but we're talking. I'm supposed to have a meeting right after I get off of this with Kathy Bates and Claire Danes to find out if they're going to be in it or not. So keep your fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Well, if they don't work out, we got 2 ladies and a diva here waiting for you.
I love you, JD, but I'm not donating my tits for you.
I'll have my people contact your people.
Yeah, baby.
We'll provide wig.
Our
provide
people
gowns.
will contact your people. Everybody's people will be talking.
You can find Dale on Dale Wade Davis on Instagram. Any other plugs you want to?
Just
sources?
Facebook and Instagram, those
Instagram.
social media.
What's the
mostly.
working title of the film? Do we have a working title of the film yet?
Yeah, it's called Rearview Mirrors.
Rearview Mirrors.
Ooh,
It's
plural.
Yeah, and it's a great storyline. It's a coming of age drama about 3 generations of women So, it would take me a long time to describe it, but
you already got me. That is right up my alley.
I look like a young Kathy Bates.
Oh, she looks like Kathy Bates. It's true.
Oh, Dale. Well, we love you, buddy, and we're gonna spread the word. Speaking of word, let's wrap the show up.
We're gonna wrap.
We do a word in a bag. All right, Mindy's gonna pull it out, and you do a quick fire of what
rapid
this
fire.
inspirational,
one of the 50 most motivational words.
Wow, courage. Isn't that apropos? There's a lot of courage here. What is that? When you hear that word, what comes to mind first for you, Dale?
What courage? Phillip is a perfect example of courage. Going out of your way to help a friend with risking something substantial, expecting nothing in return. That's courage.
That's it. I totally agree. Getting tested to see if you're a match to help Dale takes courage.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And here's a great quote about courage. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill, he was full of the best quotes, wasn't he? And courage to me just means showing up, right? I mean, that's half the battle. There's so many, like those inner voices that say, I'm not enough, I can't do it. But to have the courage to just show up, get in the car and say, you know what, I don't feel great today, but damn it, I'm going to be there. And I'm going to be there for my friends, and I'm going to be there for whoever I can be to give service, because that is what fuels your heart in the end. And Dale, we want to be there for you. You are officially a part of the Friendsome.
Yay,
welcome to the Friendsome. We love it. And thank you for being on Friendsome and then some.
Thank you, Dale. We appreciate your
I'm
time.
honored to be here. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate all your help in raising awareness, and I'm really honored to be on.
We'll do what we can to spread the word. All right.
It's
Godspeed.
National Best Friends Day.
That's
Could
right.
it be a better?
It's a
Be a
good
best
day.
friend.
It's a good day. Absolutely. Well, now you're in this Friendsome. You can't get out. It is like the firm.
I love
Happy
it.
Best Friends Day, y'all.
Bye.
Call your friend.
Bye-bye.
Give them a hug.
Bye, everybody.
Listen to Friendsome everywhere you can hear it. Did you like what you heard today on our podcast? Or did you like what you saw on our vidcast? Were you watching?
How about sending us a comment or suggestion on any topic you want us to talk about?
We'll have new episodes every Tuesday. Please join in the conversation on our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. You can download our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. See you next time on
Friendsome and then some.